Join us on a captivating journey as we explore the charm, history, and vibrant culture of Wilkes County. Discover the hidden gems, inspiring stories, and remarkable people that make Wilkes a place worth knowing and celebrating. Join us now and experience the unique essence of life in Wilkes.
Susan Moore, welcome to Life in Wilkes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You know, every time we visit over the years, I always feel smarter after we visit.
Well, that's good.
Do you embody the actual knowledge of all the books in the library?
Unfortunately, that is a lifelong bucket list. I love to read all the books that we have on the shelves. Every book is so interesting, but we learn things every day at the library.
Yeah, and that's a good thing about books, isn't it? Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
My name is Suzanne Moore. I'm the Wilkes County Public Librarian. I work right over here in the library, but also in the community with programs and outreach. And like I said, there's tons of books out there.
Right, and that's a good thing, right?
That's right. That's good.
Let's talk about the public library in Wilkes and its outreach, because it's quite significant. This isn't a small branch in North Wilkesboro. This is a very large branch. So talk about the scope.
Well, we have a lot of partners in the community. You know, we partner with the Health Foundation and the Veterans Associations here in the county. We partner with our schools. We partner with all different folks that have expertise in different various areas. But we do have a branch out in the hinterlands out in Trap Hill, and they do that same thing on a smaller level. This summer we've got, programs for our kids. Every day is something new and exciting, and the fire department, for instance, came out and had the trucks in the parking lot, which the kids really enjoyed.
Sure.
And we have something called Reading with a Hometown Hero.
Well, that sounds nice. Talk
so
about
we've
that.
had various folks to come in and share their occupation and read with the kids. Like I said, the fire department, we had a female firefighter in March, which I thought was appropriate since it's Women's History Month.
That's right.
We've had paramedics, and we've had artists, veterans, police officers, different folks to come and share stories with the children, and they really
let's talk about how that's set up. Go back one moment and talk about the partners, and then let's talk about this delivery. I visited a couple of them. One I visited recently. You had Farmer Miner and the Pig and the Bug.
Yeah, he's a favorite. Great. He's a favorite for the summertime. He comes pretty regular. He's been coming since I've been here every summer with his pig Daisy, and he has a little pug dog. I don't recall that pug's
Dixie
name.
Cup.
Dixie, right? That's his name.
I don't know if
her name.
I don't know if you knew this, but I had seen his appearance announced on the website for the library. And I'd heard about him before at another market, and I was like, well, this is interesting. And I wrote it on my calendar, and I just got busy. That day we were doing another production, and I was like, I'm not going to be able to make it over. But we finished, and I was on my way to lunch, and as I was driving out, on the left, I saw this gentleman opening his hatchback of his vehicle, and I saw a pig, and I was like, could that be?
It was.
Could that be? And he was dressed in, bib overalls, right? And I just stopped, and I put my caution lights on, because I'd planned not to move for a moment till I could figure out if this was in fact Farmer Miner. And I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And he says, "Hey, neighbor." And I was like,
He's so fun.
Okay.
Have you been up close with the pig yet?
Have I been up close? Well, as it turns out, I said to him, I'll explain what happened. I got out of the car, and the lady behind me first gave me a little attitude, but then she just drove around. Because I said, I got to talk to this pig And I wanted to talk to Farmer Minor, and I introduced myself, and he gave me a little bit of his story, and I said, so when are you doing your program? And he says, I'm doing my program, in about 30 minutes. And I said, great. And I said, after the program, would you mind doing an interview with me? And he said, okay, we'll do
awesome.
that. So he started the program. I went over and grabbed a few pictures and a little video. And then I came back to the studio. And next thing I know, I'm hearing this voice saying, hello. And it was
Did you bring
Farmer Minor.
Daisy in the studio with him?
Well, right where you're sitting.
Okay.
Right where you're sitting, with the chair being back about 3 feet, right, Tim? And so the pig was on one side, the pug was on the other side, and Farmer Minor was right in the middle. And we heard this most amazing story about this man when he had already done his corporate career in his mid-50s, and he had done one of these educational programs at a local school in his hometown, and somebody said, you got to do this. This is
The kids love it.
Right.
I have never seen a pig up close like that. And
Did you kiss the pig?
no, Amber kissed the pig, my children's librarian, and
Right.
we had some fun out of that. But the bristles on the back of the pig, have you felt those bristles?
Yes.
They're like hairbrush.
Yes.
And that's what they make hairbrushes with.
And she and she's an old pig now too.
Yeah, she's old.
So Farmer Minor said, I think he's 75 this year. So he said he would be retiring, and the pig and the pug are both getting close to their rainbow experience. So
Right.
it was just one of those things. But the story was fantastic.
Yeah.
It was like talking with Mr. Rogers and Captain Kangaroo.
I bet. It's fun. I've had a few conversations with him, and
He's brilliant.
it's awesome. Like the summertime, the kids, there's something every day.
Right.
We had Big Bang Boom in the house. And this is a group of two men that play music and get kids all excited. They do, guitar, like rock and roll
Sure.
for kids. We had Farmer Minor. We had the bag man come by just last week.
Wait a minute. He has all these bags on a big hoop. Is that or a circle
they're
of
like
some sort?
plastic grocery bags
Right.
attached from head to toe all over his body.
Wow.
And he is accompanying the Cleanup Wilks group.
Oh, fantastic.
So when people throw away plastic, and how
Right.
long does that take to disintegrate? And what do? So they had a game and talking about different things that are messing up our environment.
How'd the kids respond?
They loved that. We had, he was there. We had, like I said, Benfold's Five. Well, not Benfold Five. Benfold Fives is a group.
Right.
The brother of the group is Big Bang Boom.
Big Bang Boom.
Yes, and he was in the house. He had the kids screaming and laughing and making all kinds of noise and
Right.
dancing. That was so fun. So they had the dance party with Big Bang Boom and the Bag Man and the fire truck, and they even had a foam party out here in the Apple Park.
I love
outside.
that.
I don't know
love
if you
that.
saw that.
Sure, I did.
They just do something every day in the summer, and the kids are really enjoying it. So,
Talk about the benefit of that.
well, it helps in the summertime that if you stay involved with reading, if you're in school and you're trying to develop your skills and learning to read doesn't happen overnight. You work at it, and you increase your vocabulary and understand more and more the comprehension of what you're reading. So in the summertime, if you're taking a break from studies and from school and you don't visit the library, you lose some of those skills. That's called the summer slide.
Right.
It's not a playground slide. It's where your brain cells slide back, and you got to go
So
back.
it's a real thing.
It's a real thing. It's very beneficial for students, especially young ones that are learning to read, to keep their brains active. And then for the older generation, we need to read as much as they do, just to keep your memory going and
Right.
you learn stuff. It's just so cool. And
so are you suggesting that if we stop learning, if we stop having that exposure, regardless of our age, there's going to be some brain sliding going on?
Probably so. You can put it like that.
Well, it's a good reason to support the library then, right?
That's right. And, there's a lot of things you can find out about on videos and watching programs, but it's not like reading and, absorbing the knowledge that way.
Right. Having that tactile experience.
You can do both, but, reading is important. We have, at this point, 610 children registered for the summer reading program. And they've read, let's see, there's breaking it down in the pre-K. They've read a total of all those pre-Kers, 837 books so far this summer.
Wow.
And of the kids, we break it down by minutes. So of all the kids that are enjoying the summer reading program, they get incentive too. Every time they read so many minutes, then they get to earn a little prize from the treasure chest. So they love that. They get, different tattoos and bouncy balls and things like that. But they read 56,680 minutes. And then we have our teens, and we count by how many days have the teens been reading. So the teen participants, it's not as many as the younger kids, but they still altogether have read about 317 days worth of altogether reading.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah, it's like we want to outdo ourselves every year and get those numbers up. But
that's great. Let's talk about this from an observational standpoint. So obviously you're over the library, and you've got the main library in town in North Wilkesboro, and then what did you call it? The Netherlands or the Hitherland? What did you call Trap Hill?
Out there in the hinterlands.
Hinterland. I guess. I love that. I'm going to talk to
on the outlying areas of the county.
Right.
We have our branch library in Trap Hill.
Right, and that does great, right?
It does great. It's so increased so much recently in the last year and a half or 2 years actually. Deb Bagel is now the branch manager, but she has been our reference librarian, and we still keep her in the main library to work for us, but she goes out there and runs the branch as well. So she's got two hats, but she's doing an awesome job, and she's had Tai Chi going on in the library.
They probably never had Tai Chi out there before, right?
No, so they're really excited. They have designed or renovated a little bit out there to spruce it up, and the back room has got a wall of mirrors, and they pull all the tables out of the way, and they have an instructor and do Tai Chi out there.
Yeah, everybody needs Tai Chi, so that's a good thing. Let me ask you a question about these experiences that are going on now. You can't, I would imagine it would be impossible just to have that happen in your environment and not hear some stories from parents or teachers about how this has had a positive impact on some of the students. What are some of those stories?
There's so many examples of good feedback from people in the library but the cutest things are when we get those little notes from the children that say how they loved coming to the library, and it's just watching them interact with the books and read. I know we've had, oh my gosh, you put me on the spot here. Yeah. Trying to come up with an example, a specific example, but we've had people in the library that have studied for their exams, and we do proctoring and watching them come through school and then have a career because of it, and helping folks with their genealogy research and discovering their family lineage. And
well, Susan, having done this for so many years and bringing the kids in, there just has to be a lot of success stories. I'm not going to ask you to give me a lot of examples, because I would imagine, and you've been doing this for so long, there's a bit of a holistic approach to teaching, sharing, and and watching people come alive with reading and discovering the power of books, right?
Definitely. It's so exciting when you see kids grasp a hold and get really excited about reading, and then they just go crazy. Like we have these alphabet bags. There's a bag for every letter of the alphabet that includes books that relate to the particular letter and little manipulatives and little learning things so kids can learn to identify the letter, actually write the letter themselves and hear the sound it makes. And I just remember one little girl that came in and checked out a bag for every letter in her name.
Wow.
Then she, went home to play with all these little letter kit bags and then came back and had written her name. And it was just so cool.
Nice.
She's a little bitty girl,
Yes.
like 4 years old.
Is there any type of science that backs up the longevity that a person has and kind of where you go in life when you start reading at a very early age?
I believe that I've heard statistics where keeping in a book or studying and learning from books can help reduce the crime rate.
Ah,
Yeah. So
that's good.
Yeah.
Among other things.
Among other things. But in my
That's
personal
great.
life, I was always attracted to reading as a young girl. My grandmother was a children's librarian. And so I can remember doing the same thing, this little child learning to read and then just wanting to know more and discovering different authors and books. And every time you pick up a book, there's something new to learn about. So
That's exciting. Do you find that, as you know, I have a lot of books.
I do too.
A lot of books. And I'm familiar with all of them, but I haven't read all the words in all of them because so much of what I collect are historic reference books. And someone was in to visit recently, and they're walking down the hall and seeing all these books going back to the founding of the nation, our founding fathers, all these wars, all the different reference materials that I like to have handy. And he said, "Have you read all these books?" And I said, "I'm familiar with all of them, but I probably read a third of them because there are a lot of books."
Definitely.
And I think that's okay, knowing that the answers are just real close.
I know, right?
It's just so empowering to know that they're there. I know we have the internet. I know we have access to information globally now, and I think that's also really important. But there's something special about that tactile experience.
And books, they make good furniture. They decorate your house.
Yes, that's right. That's right. You know where you were going with that. The librarians always go to places that I'm like, wait a minute, what? But that's fantastic. I know this is a project that you worked on, so I love the fact of how you've approached the library in Wilkes, and it's a part of a regional system, which I think is extra special as well. But you do a lot of projects with veterans, right?
We do.
And why is that important?
Well, I'll tell you, when I was in Ashe County, I was a librarian there before I moved over to Wilkes County, and we received a large gift in the estate of a World War II Army nurse. And at the very same time, I had connected with a homebound patron who also was a World War II, Korean War, and a Vietnam War veteran. He was career military. And he just had so many good stories. And I was like, how can we share these stories? So we started the Veterans History Project. And we based that off of the templates from the Library of Congress, because there is a National Veterans History Project.
Right.
We just kind of made it more localized with our immediate veterans in the area. And it's so cool. We partner with the schools. We met with some ROTC students. We partner with churches and different youth groups. We've had homeschoolers involved as well. And just trying to bring the younger generation together with the older generation to understand the sacrifices that were made for us and our freedoms. I've learned so much. This year we're working on our third volume for Wilkes County, and I recently met a fellow who had written a book about a Revolutionary War hero from our county. So we're going back that far to keep and preserve those stories. And
do you find that when we take a look at history this way.
Mm-hmm.
And you're sitting there talking with or listening to a Vietnam veteran or
Right.
a World War II veteran or somebody that was a prisoner of war. And you're hearing this story from someone who lived it.
Definitely.
Do you find that does, number one, it informs and kind of gives you that very close living experience. But do you find that, I don't know if sympathetic is the right word, but just being mindful and aware of, as you said, these real sacrifices, how is it different, even for you, going from that place of where, you started the first program, in Ash, and you bring it to Wilkes. How did that influence your life?
Well, I have a grandfather who was a World War II combat engineer, and I never heard him talk about it much. But in his later years, and he started sharing little pieces of his experiences in the war arena, I was just amazed, to understand how they come through and survivors are able to share what they've lived through. And in one local example, we had a high school student that worked for the yearbook committee, so I put him to work helping me to preserve photos, and he got to sit down and talk to a Korean War veteran. And when he learned how this gentleman had entered the service at this almost the same age he is now today,
wow.
He put himself in that position, and he's like, he was like, oh wow, you did all this when you were my age, close to my age, So it just brings it alive, and it makes it more real. It's not like a movie that you watch. It's like a real person's story that you're hearing.
Statistically, there's only 3 to 4% of Americans that have a close connection to either they are themselves in the military or their family members are. Mm-hmm. That means the rest don't. And it's such a big thing, a thing of sacrifice. So as young people, and just, the librarian and people who work on staff have this experience of spending time with the people who have served our nation and the stories of those who gave the ultimate sacrifice. Does it become more real in the sense of understanding the value
Definitely.
And understanding, not only the sacrifice, but for those who come home, oftentimes the pain that they have to endure?
Definitely. And, so sometimes we have a group that meets monthly called the Talking Service Book Club, mm-hmm. and it's for veterans, but we also invite anyone interested in learning and understanding more about war or crossing those cultural boundaries, and you putting yourself in that position and realize, the trauma that people have lived through. Sometimes that's difficult to address, and it's not something that we're trying to encourage people to talk about. It's if they feel they want to share their stories. But I have heard some of our veterans say to me, this is something I've never talked to anyone about before. Right. And it just kind of loosened the burden of the thought that they, carried for those many years, to be able to share with someone and tell their own story. And it just made it so personal and meaningful, right, to hear that,
I think sometimes when we open up and we talk about whatever those traumas may have been, it kind of opens the door, right?
Mm-hmm.
And lets it kind of escape.
Kind of like a little healing process.
Right. That's nice.
It helps you to recover. You're not going to ever totally recover from extensive trauma. I don't think it's going to be something that's haunting you, but knowing that other people understand and listen and hear your story helps to ease a little pain.
Sure.
I think it's great to share those stories.
So do these books do that in a sense? I mean, you've got the stories, you've got pictures, you've got individual stories that tie to people, mm-hmm. you've got stories about events that celebrate or recognize our veterans. So having this project not only to document, and this is specifically focused on Wilkes County, right?
Right. The veterans in our book are not necessarily all natives of the county. Some of them have transplanted and now live in the county. And some of the stories might be from a veteran outside the county or even outside the state, but they're tied to the county because they have a relative that lives here.
Right. There's a connection
There's
somehow.
a connection some way.
So, Susan, this project is ongoing, right? This isn't a one-time thing. You've got 3 books right now.
We're in volume 3. We're publishing volume 3 this year, but we have an archive on our website where these stories are collected, and we're always adding stories to that archive, and we're hoping to publish an annual book. Participants in the project get complimentary copies to share with their friends and family.
Right.
It's a keepsake.
Nice.
We do put the books out in the school libraries, the community college library, and the other county libraries within our region. But they are available for sale at the library, and the funding that we make on the sale of the published books helps us sustain that project so we can publish more books.
So you just keep it rolling.
And every year there's more stories and a new book. So
That's great. So will people be able to, you may have said this before, but just to verify, so people will be able to see this online as well, right?
Definitely,
Okay, how do they find that?
Go to our website, Wilkes Library, and then there is a new look on the website, actually.
I saw that.
There
Looks
are
great.
9 boxes that take you to various projects or departments in the library. But I believe it's on the first column, second box down. It says Wilkes County Veteran History Project. So once you click there and open it up, you'll be able to find all these stories. You can search by branch, campaign, or locate the veterans by their listing alphabetical. The names of all the veterans are theirs.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, we love that. We love that project, and there's no reason this won't just keep going on forever, right? I mean, this is...
yeah. As long as we have folks that can work with us, and it's community engagement work.
Right.
We have, like I said, different groups that help out. And
I don't think there's any doubt that the people in Wilkes County love our veterans.
definitely.
I think that's a good thing. So the Veterans Program is a great program, but you got something that we should speak about before we leave today. And that is a new active program you have with the Health Foundation.
That's right.
That helps approach this problem in a very proactive way of drug abuse, right?
Drug abuse, addiction is serious with the opioid crisis that our country is facing. But here in the county, we received some funding that to help settle for settlement funds, and we were awarded the money we needed to buy a Narcan vending machine. So Narcan is a harm reduction medication. It helps people stay alive. If you are experiencing an overdose and you take a shot of Narcan, it's a nasal spray, it will help to revive you until you can get to the paramedics, or they can come to you and do whatever needs to be done. But it's really useful to have that on hand. Even if you don't experience a drug problem, you never know when something like that might cross your path. A lot of times people are overdosing because of taking the prescribed medication improperly, or forgetting that you already had a dose of medicine and you take another dose too soon, and next thing you know, you're in a danger zone. So you can get free Narcan now at the library from our outdoor vending machine. We also have fentanyl test strips in the vending machine that were given through Project Lazarus. So folks that are maybe using drugs and trying to find a way to come off of them eventually. Hopefully that's the ultimate goal. We want everybody to not need them, but sometimes they're addictive, and coming off all at once is a difficult thing. So a lot of people are accessing the test strips to see if that fentanyl strain is in their drugs, because that is very lethal, and a lot of folks have succumbed to it, unfortunately, and we're trying to prevent them and prevent deaths and keep people alive. So
this is a very proactive thing to do within the community,
right? And
I'm sure there's an enormous amount of support, but I would imagine there would be some people that would be a bit critical and concerned because so many young people go to the library. But I was in a lunch and learn that you had not long ago, and I saw the stats, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Kids are exposed to these things. So this is a level of education and how do you deal with that? When somebody's says, "Look, Susan, that's just too much for the kids to see." I mean, what do you say?
Well, like we do the Lunch and Learns, and we try to educate the community with this opioid prevention and education topics. We have books available that go into detail on the reasons for harm reduction medication, and it's just something new that people aren't sure about yet. But not everybody understands it. I know that, but. Recently, we just received a book for our teens that we're distributing called "If You Give an Ox an Oxy." It's a paradoxical story right. to help them understand the danger involved with OxyContin and prescription drugs, not only street drugs.
So it's important to know. It's
important to know and understand.
And it's also okay that if people are a little hesitant because just not knowing. And that's fair too, right?
Right. And it's just like having that Narcan on hand is almost like having the epi shot for a bee sting. You don't know if something might affect you the wrong way, and then you suddenly are in danger. And this is just a way to revive yourself, to keep yourself alive and get some help. So we're showing how to use it, and we have information in the library for you where you can go for help to talk to people and in recovery circles and things of that sort, and partnering with R3, Wilks Recovery Revolution, and the Health Foundation. And
so that's part of a healthy community, I guess, as we wrap up now. It's not denying what the problems are, and sometimes the solutions can be a little jarring at first, but it's a solution to a big problem, right?
Right.
So that's the effort, just to have it there and have some education to inform, because I was totally amazed during the Lunch and Learn. I was like, how many people? And it was to me it was a big number, even though the number has gotten smaller over the past few years because of education, right? People being informed and having access. But sometimes our problems are a little more painful to deal with.
That's right. We're lucky to continue providing Narcan this year with our year 2 over settlement grants. So we'll just keep on doing things to help people. And health and wellness is a big topic in the library. And I could get into all 8 dimensions of wellness with you at some point, but
we'll do that on a different show.
We need a different show for that. But we try to address all different aspects of health. Whole health for people with our programs.
That's great. Well, I think as we go into the 4th of July and summertime, I think it's great and fair that we talk about all these type of programs, because you're talking about things that are year-round, but they have a special concentration of activities in the summer.
They
with
do.
The kids reading
There's
program.
so much. We call it, and like I said, with this veteran coming next week or this week, I call it Operation Storytime coming into effect, and to keep those stories alive and letting children see adults that enjoy reading is important as well.
I think you're exactly right. So let's talk about how people can learn more. You've got a great website. So how do people find out about the public library? This will be one of our many visits together over the year, just so we can keep up with what's happening in our library system. We believe in libraries, and we think it's very important there's a building to go to.
That's right. We want you to come visit us at the library itself, but you can follow our Facebook page on social media and learn about all the events. I do a monthly video myself to talk about the books that we're highlighting with our various different book clubs and some of the key programs. So Facebook, social media, Instagram and Facebook are good ways to follow us, where you can always have that on your phone.
Right.
And we have the reading app on our phone as well that lets you log in with your account, your library card, and browse books on the digital collection on the phone to place a hold and come by and pick them up.
And so for people who haven't been to the public library, if there's anyone, and I'm sure people moving to the area, it's new. So where can people come to you and see your building?
We are downtown in North Wilkesboro on 10th Street on the Loop. We're on a block, so you can enter from either side. We do have some outdoor lockers in Wilkesboro. So with a library card, you can put a hold on materials and have them delivered to the lockers.
Oh, how great.
In case you're not able to come in person during our working hours, you can visit the lockers anytime and pick up your materials there.
Wait a minute. So people go online and they check out the book that they want.
Put your book, request a hold on your book, and request and ask for the delivery of your book to the locker location.
Okay. All right.
Then you can go over to Wilkesboro next to the milkshake shop.
Right.
And there's like the lockers there.
Okay, so that's the libraries. Okay, I saw those.
You'll push your card number in on the locker, and the books that are the shelf that's holding your books, the box with your books, will open up so you can take them out.
Oh, a magical door.
Bring them back to us when you're done.
That's great. So that's it. That's downtown North Wilkesboro, and then in Wilkesboro, and then of course out in the Hitherlands?
Hinterlands. Trap
Hinterlands and Trap Hill.
Yeah, we carry books around between the books, the libraries locally here in the county, but also in our region. We share books with Ashe and Watauga County too.
Right. Oh, that's great. All right, Susan, this has been a wonderful visit. I think the very first time we had you on our Life in the Carolinas show, you played the banjo, and I share that story about how I first met you. It was not at the library. It was at the farmer's market, and you were playing a banjo. And I said, who's that banjo player? And I think Ken Welborn introduced us. He said, well, it's Susan, the new librarian. I was like, well, I didn't see the old librarian do that.
We have music at the library as well. We have a jam session every second Monday.
Did you start that?
Yeah. We have a lot of folks that come. We have little ones with ukuleles all the way to the older folks, one of my Korean War veterans who just turned 88 is down there with the banjo. So we have the young and the old and everybody together making music once a month out there.
Making music and reading books.
Yeah.
What a wonderful thing.
It's fun.
Thanks, Susan.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for spending time with us on Life in Wilkes. We value you as a viewer and appreciate when you share the show with your friends and family. Be sure to bookmark our channel and join us again on the next episode of Life in Wilkes.